All right, what's up, bass fam? This is Adam Saylor, and I'm here with this gorgeous new MTD bass that I'm really excited about. Really excited about getting to do this video. People have been asking me about it since I got it with this upgrade, and there's some other stuff going on right here that we'll get into later, but I just want to get right to playing this bass so that people that are here to hear this thing can hear it. I'm just going to run this preamp and these pickups the way I do at the gig. So I'm running it into my PreSonus Eureka hot rod, which goes through a DBX compressor and then back through the Eureka through the EQ section. So this is the way the DI gets sent to the front of house at the gig. I record with it into Pro Tools this way like I'm doing now, and I'm not going to do any kind of polish or any kind of plugins or anything. This is just the DI. So I'm going to start with the two pickups in the center, so blends in the center, and the preamp the way I like to set it. And here's a little fingerstyle stuff. So right away, it's got the body, it's got the bottom that I like, but you've got that clarity coming in, but it's not that clanky, harsh sound, which is just not a preference for me. Guys that do it, awesome. That's your thing, awesome. You like that really bright, kind of grindy sound, awesome. Nothing against it. So don't think I'm knocking guys that do one thing or another. I'm just saying for my personal thing, especially, it's got that little bit of attack coming through, but it doesn't sound like I'm playing with a nickel on a metal fretboard. So both pickups still, and here's some slap stuff. So that, I need to show off this fifth string. I haven't shown it off yet, but I tune a whole step down, which we can talk about later. But this 35-inch scale, man. So this is a low A for me. Clear as a bell, fingerstyle. Phenomenal. You can thank Mike and 35-inch scale for that, but so this slap tone, it's got that clarity to it, but it's not brittle. Again, it's not brittle when I pop. It's not brittle. It's just clear and punchy, and it just sounds polished is probably my favorite word to use. So it's a phenomenal tone. These basses do that so well. Now going to the bridge pickup, which is normally what I use for chording anytime I need to kind of jump out and do a melody. So a gig I just did with a really good friend of mine, Val Mancini, check her out, shameless plug. We decided to do Alicia Keys' song, and we decided to have me do it for whatever reason. So that's super clear. I can go to the top of the fretboard. Clear as a bell. You can't beat that. Like for melody stuff. Again, super clear. Harmonics on this thing. So right now we're here. Most basses can get that. Most can't get that. Most definitely can't get those, and they're bell tones. You can hear them super well. So great tone for guy, the Jocko thing. That really percussive. This bass really does that super well. This bass does a lot of things super well. Neck pickup, which dare I say the Motown thing. It's probably going to offend a lot of guys because it's not a P bass with a sponge under the bridge. However, in my opinion, it does it. Just you might need to set the treble a little bit where you need it to go. But so this is neck pickup. It does it for me. If I'm on a gig and I'm using that, most guys are digging it. So it's a great bass. This upgrade. Now we can talk a little bit more about the bass now. Hopefully, I'll probably still play it throughout, but hopefully people have kind of got to come and see what this thing sounds like. So this is an MTD Kingston Z5. Still MTD guy right there, which means this is one of the earlier generations, which are made overseas. Everything was overseas made. Pickups, electronics, everything made to a Michael Tobias design, sent over here to market. After these basses were out for a few years, Mike decided to come out with the ZX version, which offered the American Bartolini pickups and a preamp in the Z5 package. So you still had this affordable bass, but now with nice custom electronics. When you get this, another cool thing that I noticed is that the part numbers on these are slightly different from a stock similar Bartolini pickup. There's a couple letters that are different at the beginning and the end. And there's a little parenthesis mark that says MTD or 4MTD, something like that, which leads me to believe that these are voiced still differently to a Michael Tobias design spec, whatever you want to call it. He didn't just find some licensed pickup. He must have done something and voiced these pickups still a certain way to give people that sound that's his, which I think is a really legit dude move. The fact that he decided to offer these basses with Bartolini's, the fact that he decided to offer an upgrade package for Z5 guys so that we don't have to go buy a new bass, and the fact that he took the time to still put his input on the pickups and say, hey, no, they need to be made this way. Now to the different thing that most of the questions come about on this bass is this preamp right here, which you'll notice has a 3-way mid switch. The normal preamp that comes in this upgrade package is a Bartolini HR5.2, which again has a little note that it's 4MTD, and so that leads me to believe that there might be some design differences in there too. Bartolini's probably not really allowed to talk about that, but anyway, it doesn't come with a mid switch like this. It comes with a push-pull mid. So anybody that's pretty familiar with Bartolini would assume, oh, okay, so he just got the HR5.4, cool. You would be right in the fact that is the configuration, the HR5.4 with the 5 knobs and the 3-way mid switch, but it is not an HR5.4. It is Bartolini, but it's not the HR5.4, and the only reason I'm not talking more about it is because this was a special deal that came about for me by a passive conversation with Doug at Bartolini, which is a perfect time to shout out the guys at Bartolini. These pickups, their pickups, you can see my Tobias Classic 5 right over here. Bartolini pickups and preamp. Mike's used Bartolini in all of his high-end basses for years. They're great people to work for, great people to work with. The guy I've dealt with directly, Doug, in a passing conversation, I told him a story about when the original preamp in my Tobias died, and I was trying to find a replacement, and Tobias had since not been made in a while, and documents had changed hands. Long story short, basically it wasn't exactly an easy thing to come across, so I went with the HR5.4 that this looks like, and it's a great preamp. I'm not going to discount. This isn't me saying one preamp is better. This is all about my ear and my weirdness and whatever. It's a phenomenal preamp. It's super flexible. It does a lot of things, but it did not sound, the Tobias did not sound like itself. So I went back to them and was like, hey, can we do something like that? And at the time, the guy that I was talking to was just kind of like, well, the information's out there if you want to find it. So I dug and dug and dug, merged like 3 schematics together, and from what I remember, the picture of the old preamp, I pieced mine together, and it brought it back. It didn't bring it back completely because there's some things that I didn't quite. I used some newer components in some certain areas that I didn't think would affect the tone as much, and they did. This video is getting over 10 minutes, so I'm kind of starting to rambling, but it's a cool story, so that's why I played it at the beginning. So anyway, this conversation with Doug, I'm telling him like this, the whole story, and he was like, "Oh," he's like, "So you like the old like Burbank Tobias preamp kind of thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, it sounded so good." And he was like, "Oh, okay, well, you need this, and that." And I was like, "Oh, sweet." So like you just happen to know all these parts and everything like that. So I was like, "Put the invoice together. We'll do that, and we'll try putting it in here." So I did that. Get a text from Katie. Shout out to Danny B. Goods. This bass would not be in my hands. These pickups would not be in this bass without them. They are phenomenal people, and I'm so glad and happy and fortunate, blessed, every synonym you can think of to have met them, work with them. So thanks, you guys. Thank you, Katie. She sends me a text message, tells me she's checking my shipping, expecting a box of separate parts because I'm gonna have to, these parts haven't really been publicly available, let alone the pre-wired version of what I'm trying to do hasn't been available in like 2 decades. And she sends me a picture. She's like, "I'm expecting all these separate parts, but I have a box that says, HR 5.4, but then it says it's handwritten special, and I want to make sure this is the right thing." And I was like, "Well, does it have this part, this part, this part?" She sends me more pictures, and she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, I kind of stood in disbelief, and then I realized like these guys pre-wired it for me, which totally blew me away. I mean, I'm the new guy on the block. They've already gone above and beyond and hooking me up with the setup, and now it comes to me pre-wired, so I can just drop it in and start slaying with this thing. So that was a cool moment. So that's what's in here now, is those custom things, and I've probably maybe already said a little too much. I just don't know if this is going to be readily available to you guys, and so I don't want to talk about it and get people wanting this. If anybody did, I'm not saying that they're going to want it because of me or whatever, but if you listen to this and then you listen to other ZX videos that have the other preamp in it and hear the difference that I hear, I just don't want people to start talking about this thing and not be able to get it. So I did get an email a few days ago from Katie talking to the Bartolini guys about maybe offering it, but nothing. I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I'm really excited to have this bass. With this preamp, it's just, that neck pickup. If you really want to do that kind of like Stanley Clark, you can do that. I mean, the way I run it, I got both pickups on and the preamp the way I do, and just I'm so happy to have this bass. This became my main player instantly ever since I got it, exclusively playing it. So again, shout out to Dana B. Goods and Bartolini. I'm so glad to be with you guys. So glad to know you guys and work with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I just felt like that story needed to be told, and to tell them as much about this preamp as I felt comfortable. So I'll leave the specifics about this bass, the make and everything, in the description. I'll try and link you to the other videos of guys that have walked through the preamp and have the regular ZX upgrade. One's by a guy, Andy Irvine. I hope I'm saying your last name right. Great dude. Awesome video that he did. And another one from Bass Freak, which is another kind of slower paced, walk you through thing. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video gave people what they wanted. I got to be able to hear this thing in a more controlled environment, and I love doing it. So anything else you guys want me to do, any more specifics I can do, rig rundown, not that I care if people know what I do here. I just kind of like to leave people's minds open to find their own sound instead of just assuming that what I do is what you should do or what someone else is what you should do. So, but if you want to know, I don't mind talking about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Glad I got this video done, and hopefully I'll get to do more. See you guys around.